love to demonstrate to you on their systems, or some even have flyers. I know there's a Gaia form that you would see when you go there. Make sure you peep in at the tent, just, interact. The second goal, objective of this forum is networking. So right there, you will meet and be met, and then you go for lunch. So we have 2 sessions back to back, and the first of them is to hear from Mercy Wakawa, Gail Murara, Joyce Kialema, and Noel Mulinga. Forgive me, please. May I have those 4 ladies and gentlemen come right up. We've put up your name, so please just find your name up there. And come and tell us experiences of African youth agripreneurs. Mercy Wakawa is a demonstration of the fact that even in a region that has been listed as unsafe, harsh, and all that, she's making it in Borno State. She was born to civil servants, and she thought the life of the civil servant wasn't quite the life she wanted to go for. Today, she has started her business of groundnut processing, and she produces edible groundnut oil, groundnut cake, which is a major raw material for animal feed mills, and sludge, which is a secondary byproduct. A big round of applause for Mercy, please. We also have Gael Murara. He's from Rwanda, and he's grown up everywhere in Africa, actually. Ivory Coast, Niger, Tunisia, and even Canada. After graduation, he came back for what was meant to be a short trip, but then he realized a gap in the market, and he set up Grosso Wheels. Today, he's going to talk to you about Grosso Wheels and what they do. They're impacting over 200 households and 12 restaurants monthly. A big round of applause, please, for Gael Murara. We also have up there a Ugandan called Joyce Kailema. I happen to know that she's also a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur from the first round. She's an activist, a gender activist. She's a woman entrepreneur, and she's executive director of the Rural Women and Youth Development Organization. She advocates to make sure that vulnerable youth and women in rural areas find ways of increasing their household income, nutritional status, and food security. She'll talk to us again about what she's doing with African youth in agripreneurship. Joyce Kaile, my big round of applause, please. Lastly, on the stage, we have Noel Mulingaya. Mulingaya is quite associated with IITA. He joined IITA Colombo Youth Agripreneurs in charge of cereals and legumes production. He's been able to do significant work over there, and would love to hear from him. Everyone, please pay attention as these youth share their experiences with you. We have guidelines, a few minutes for each person, and then would like you to take a few questions from the audience. I will interject from time to time, okay? We can start in any order, but maybe ladies first. Go ahead.
Good morning, all. My name is Mercy Wakawa. A few years back, I was nowhere. You may ask me why. I'm from Borno State, northeast Nigeria. And as you all know, Borno State is the center for Boko Haram. After graduation, in search of a job, the dream was cut short due to the large number of unemployment in the country. Almost at the point of giving up, I got an invitation to participate in a training which was facilitated by IITA Youth Agripreneurs under IITA Int'l Africa project, sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The training, which covers topics in entrepreneurship, ICT in agribusiness, and good agricultural practices. The training really, really changed my life. Today, I am a success. I am really, really a success because it is a great privilege sitting here before you in the body of a CEO of a flourishing business. The business practically took off in January 2016. Although there are many challenges, but with hard work and persistency, we were able to employ 4 youth from the host community. We were able to create job opportunity for household women with our secondary byproduct. We were able to create market for groundnut farmers, which are mostly women. We were also able to generate revenue from our product, which is groundnut oil, groundnut cake, and the sludge, the secondary byproduct. With that, we were able to generate a revenue of about $11,000 on a monthly basis. In order to sustain the business, we are trying to develop an outgrower scheme with the groundnut farmers, which are mostly women, so that we will provide farm input of improved groundnut variety through ICRISAT. Today, I want to let you all know that your background doesn't really matter. Look at me. I'm a typical example. I would have stayed back with other women in my state and mourn the current situation of the Boko Haram, but I decided to change the course of destiny. I want you to all know that agribusiness is the way forward. I want to encourage my fellow youth here to look at the opportunities in agribusiness and venture into it because it really pays. And I know here we have policymakers and investors. I want you to give equal opportunity to other youth out there because youth, especially women, they are good entrepreneurs if they are properly mobilized. Thank you.
Mercy, thank you very much for that. Mercy has said she generates revenue over $11,000 per month in northeast Nigeria. That is significant. Please, another round of applause. She also generates, she's got workers working with her. Those are the things that we're looking out for: revenue generation, wealth creation, job creation. And she's doing it in a harsh, hostile environment. Agribusiness can thrive anywhere. Is that what you're saying? Do you think so, Gael? Can agribusiness thrive anywhere?
Hi, thank you first of all for inviting me, and it's a big honor for me for being here. I think so, yes. In the world we live in today, where everything is digitalized, where you can be in Nigeria, buy something from France without even knowing it, I think business can thrive everywhere, and that's mainly what we've been trying to achieve with Groceries as a platform that started by being just an online grocery delivery service to now become a major food supplier in Kigali. I believe that we live in an amazing world where with just a few investments you can bring something to the value chain from the farmers, the small-scale farmer, I mean, all the way up to the end user. And I've seen many people here talking about encouraging people to be farmers and the production, etc., etc. But the two bankers here talked about something very important as well, which is the value chain. Because you can produce anything you want at any cost that you want. If it doesn't get to the end user, then it doesn't matter. And I truly believe in technology in order to achieve it. And I think Mr. Lorenzo, if I'm not mistaken, said that business is sexy, but I think business is boring. Technology is sexy. And you can really achieve a lot of things by embracing the new revolution that is coming up. And I encourage all the people here and all the future entrepreneurs and future farmers to look into the access to market via technology. And there's something amazing about what Mercy just said about her story. And that's something I would, for example, love to have featured on my website if I was here, just to push people to buy those groundnuts, because there is, they directly impact the economy of a devastated region. And that is what we're looking for, not only producing and selling, but also making a difference on the ground. So to answer your question, yes, you can produce, you can create value from anywhere with the world we are living in right now. And it's very exciting.
Thank you very much, Gael. You've touched on a very critical point of view, the issue about the value chain, and how if you produce anything and it doesn't get to the end consumer, it's still a lost cause. That is so critical, and that technology is sexier than agriculture. Is that what you're saying?
Agriculture is very sexy. We need it. We need to eat. We need to have a lot of variety. But I think with adding technology to agriculture, and that's what is happening now. I was just looking at an MIT documentary a few days ago where they were, instead of importing crops for a certain region, now you can import the climate. Wow. Which is, it's redefined everything. You don't have to import or export anymore. You can just produce anything, anywhere, and at a minimal cost. So we are entering a new era, and it has to be incorporated in agriculture.
Thank you very much. Joyce, what do you have to say about that? Value chain, importing, exporting, and doing business across Africa.
That is a very good idea. Everyone doing agribusiness should at least add value to the products they are making so that they can reach the international market. Right. Yes. I have a small seed that has made me who I am today. I'm not yet there, but I'm hoping and I'm seeing where I'm going. That small seed is the pumpkin seed. The pumpkin seed has created many jobs for the youth. It has created many jobs for the young women. I've seen it changing lives of people, health-wise. So if we can add value, because I'm adding value to pumpkins, I make a variety of pumpkin products, which include porridge, roasted seeds, peanut butter, wine, jobs for the youth. Some are into growing the pumpkins, others are into processing, and others are into sales. So I've created thousands and thousands of jobs in the Ugandan community. Thank
you very much. I think these entrepreneurs deserve a round of applause. If you take pumpkin and you simply think, oh, shell it and cook it, that's all you can do with it, then you are limiting the value of that product. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of products that can be reprocessed, reconstituted, repackaged to add value, and that really is what agribusiness is about. She talked about wine, juice, cakes, oil, all sorts of things with pumpkin. Imagine what we can do all across Africa. Tell me, Noel, what are you doing and how is it impacting African youth?
I'm Noel from DRC. The Youth Agripreneur in DRC, they are all over a lot of value chains, a lot of activities and a lot of other activities, as I was saying. But the emphasis we put on cassava. Cassava, as you will see on the screen, is one of our major crops. And if you are a youth and you want to do business, you are supposed to respond on the need of the community. What the people want. Don't do just business because it's called business, but you have to do business because you respond to a need of a community. And as you will see on this slide, you will see like more than even 65% of the flour which is consumed in Bukavu. Bukavu is one city of South Kivu in the eastern of DRC. 65% it is imported from outside. Imagine why when each Congolese eats 145 kg of flour, you have to import 65 from a foreign country. And then the quantity that is produced locally is very small. But also, if you can see the percentage of the people who are working in agriculture, you will see that the percentage is very big, because 80% of the population in that area are rural people. So imagine like 75% of the population, they are really poor because they are not just transforming their agriculture as a business. They are taking like an everyday activities. So the youths that we get a chance to be linked to IITA, to get that technology where you can use that high quality cassava flour to make our own business. Yesterday when we were training here in the coaching, they say that even though you are a youth, you want to enter a business, it doesn't mean you are supposed to have the low price of your products. I think what is important is to have the quality of the product, because that quality of product you're going to have, it will make you more competitive and will bring money for you. So our high quality cassava flour, it sells at $1, while those other flour, they are sold at less than $0.5. But as you see, we enter really that market, we enter into production, we enter into processing, and we enter into the last segment with the marketing of those products. We package that product and we make that product very sexy, as they say, technology make things sexy and make it very attractive for consumers. And you will see the demand of flour in South Kivu is over 6,400 tons per month.
Wow.
That is the demand, 6,000. So you can imagine, while we have been able only to produce 23 tons per month. That is our current level of production. You can see the big avenue which is within that business, and it's really bringing income, because you can see that in the expenses of 16,000, you are getting a revenue of 23,000, and the gross margin is around 5,000. So even though you put taxes, you will still have and recover some of your money, more than $4,000 per month when you are engaged in that business. And it is the way the avenue is big and the demand is big. The youth did not stay there. Our business did not stay there. We also engage rural farmers, rural youths into that business. And you will see there is a graph there where the farmers now, they're taking also cassava as a business. And you will see there's really a big change into their level of production. Some were just selling 600 kg per year. They are now selling over 10 tons per year. And it is not enough. And you will see that the job also is increased like 10 times or 100 times, where people now, they are in it. Our strategy is just to have the quality products, package it well, and then link those farmers to the market in the urban area where they can really get income for that. That is the experience of DRC youth.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I always wonder when I hear stories like this, I wonder where people say, oh, we don't see investment opportunities in Africa, we're not quite sure where to invest. This is where to invest. Invest in the youth, invest in agripreneurs, invest in agribusiness across Africa. There are many low-hanging fruits that you can tap into. We've talked about numbers, we've talked about diversity, we've talked about processing, connecting the markets, talked about conversion and adding value, creating thousands of jobs. These are the examples of agripreneurs in Africa. Would love to hear from any one of you. Maybe we'll take 2 or 3 comments, particularly if you have a question that they can address. Do you have any questions? 2, 3. We'll take from Eric.
Are you getting 2 or 3, or can I ask my question now?
One question, please.
Okay. No, I'm not giving 3 questions.
Okay.
The gentleman earlier from First Bank actually mentioned something very important, although it was his last word, more or less, and that was what makes you bankable. And then he made very clear that that was actually cash flow and tracking the cash flow. And when I listened to all the 4 presenters, yes, there's a lot of emphasis on value out of agricultural production, etc. But I don't get a lot of sense of what is the potential really for net profit and the continuation of the cash flow, which is actually very important for bankers, investors, etc. So I want just some comments from the panelists to know how are they preparing for that being bankable, and are they seen as bankable?
Yeah. Maybe 1 or 2 of you. Yes, please.
Hello. Okay. I'm going to advocate for my own church, but mainly that's what Growers is doing. We tell our farmers, our suppliers, focus on producing. We will do the distribution for you, and we'll link you to the market. But what we mainly do is also bring them in the economy. All our payments are made through banks. So our clients pay us on the bank, we pay our suppliers in the same bank, so like through a check, a transfer. So we even help them get a credit history, like a cash flow history, not only for our benefit, but for theirs. It's mainly like a fiscal issue for me, because I have to show when I declare my taxes that, this is really the money that I made. But we are also bringing the reliability of allowing our customers to pay with like cashless options. Our farmers to be paid through their banks. So when, and it's hard for now, but in the future, I hope they can go and show that they've been working with this distributor, so they can get kind of a line of credit for the next harvest. And if I remember well, someone talked about MasterCard being interested in this sector. By bringing all these people in the formal economy, pretty much, and by MasterCard investing in the new farmers who know how to deal with banks, know how to deal with payment options, then at the end of the day, they are getting their money back, because they will need to be a platform for this exchange of money. And I believe that through this agriculture and through the new modernity, through technology, we are even able to bring more, all those BOP people, I want to say, but I don't really want to say, taking them out of the informal to the formal, and we can address that issue of making kind of everyone on the value chain bankable, because of traceability as well.
Thank you for that. Very good question, Eric. Is there any more questions for these entrepreneurs? We have 2 at the back. The lady, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to ask, can you share with us some of the challenges you face and then how you are able to overcome them?
Challenges and how you have overcome them. From 1 or 2 of you.
Okay, one of the challenges we faced, when we begin selling our flour in town, the demand was so high we could not reach that demand. It is when we came with the idea of having rural community processing centers, because they are the ones who have farms, they are the ones who have raw material, and they are the ones who are able to produce larger quantity than ourselves who are just located far from that rural area. So the mitigation solution we get is to train those rural farmers how to process. First, we give them loan to get the local fabricated machine for processing, and then we train them into how to do processing, and then from them they start processing, and now we are controlling the quality of the flour, we package it and we sell it. So that was how to overcome the concept of continuous supply of the farm.
Great.
Yes, one challenge I faced was finance, but I talked to myself, finance is not a problem. So I started with $50 with my business. So I went on increasing. And in the end, I got partners who helped me out with the grants. So every entrepreneur here should start small, and later you will grow big. You will find people on the way who will help you. And another thing was, since I'm into value addition, was product development. But in Uganda, we are very lucky. We've got incubators that help people, young entrepreneurs, like the Uganda Industrial Research Institute and CHURAD. They've babysitted me so much in my journey. So you should join those incubators to help you out in your product development.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One last comment, please. Okay, we'll take one from that end, and that will be all. Do you have a microphone?
Hello, my name is Dixon Ayuka, and I'm the head of business development in Ujuzi Kilimo. And I have one question for you guys. I mean, you're young people, and as young people, actually, you come across many opportunities. Why did you guys choose specifically to be in the agriculture sector? Thank you.
Why did you choose agriculture? Maybe Mercy, you would let us know.
When I started, it was it was somehow against my wish at first, but I was cancelled upon, and I saw opportunities in the agriculture sector, basically the processing, because it's my background. I have a background in food science and technology, which has helped me a lot to have an edge with my competitors. So that's why I basically go into that.
Okay.
It's because of the mentorship I had.
Is there anyone else that has a different background?
Yeah, I can add something real quick. I actually have a background in civil engineering and product management, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. And it was actually by traveling on some projects I was running in the upcountry that I saw the difference between what the farmer gets and how much it's sold at the market. And transport can justify that difference. And after some research and some research, market analysis and stuff, I realized that a platform, and mainly online, to tap onto the next big thing in Africa as well, was the best way to address that. And yeah, that's how I got into agriculture.
Thank you very much. I wish we had more time, but we do not. So that we don't upset the plans for today, the rest of the day, and tomorrow, we'll stop at this time. But you've got these lovely people with you all day. There is a cocktail this night where you must make sure you go around asking questions. So those questions that you have, please keep for them. And there are so many more in the audience who have stories like this. As I've urged earlier, share your stories with us and we'll bring it out to the outside world. Thank you very much, Mercy, Gail, Joyce, and Noel. We thank you for sharing with us your stories, and I'm sure quite a number of people here have been encouraged. Please give them a round of applause. We're going to have a debate now, and if you missed that session when you were in school and we go out there and we're like, oh, I hope I've been able to confuse you and not to convince you. Oh, I mean, I've been able to confuse, and so on and so forth. We're going to have a session like that right now. So the stage will be set for that. And I'm going to call the moderator, Oludare Odusanya, to come forward and take over. And he will invite the debaters.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. Good afternoon once again. Permit me to stand on existing protocols and just to go straight into the business of today. The first question I asked myself while I just walked around this, I think we have more population of young people in this conference, but I'm seeing a lot of older attitude, if you'd permit me to use that word. So I want to encourage us to please rise. I crave the indulgence of all our guests. So can I encourage everybody to please rise? We are young people, right? Yes, let's rise. All rise. Okay. So I want us to do a high five to the next person beside you. Make sure we hear the sound. If we don't hear the sound, we don't sit down. Okay. That was a very haphazard high five. We want a much more hello. Okay, I think people are now, you're getting in the mood. We need to set the mood very right. So can you give us one coordinated high five? 1, 2, 3, go. Now, until we get it right, we will sit down. So I just want one coordinated clap. 1, 2, 3, go. Now, we need to get it right. Please, please. I have very distinguished people standing, so we need to do ourselves the very good honor to make sure we sit down very quickly. Otherwise, I'll ask our guests to sit down, and then we, the young people, remain standing until we get it right. So I just want one clap, and we have to do it after the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, I think that's better. Please, can we celebrate ourselves as we sit down? Thank you so very much. And welcome to this debate session. I'll quickly run through a lot of things that we're going to be doing before I bring the debaters up front. I would like to recognize the presence of everyone again, and particularly my coach for this debate, Dr. Eric Cooper, is seated just to the left. He's been mentoring me on this for a while, so I'm here again to do this. So the topic before us this morning is government should subsidize financing for youth in agriculture. We're going to go in that debate. We're going to have 2 speakers apiece. We're going to have 1 lead speaker, 1 support speaker for the motion, and the same 1 lead speaker, 1 support speaker against the motion. You would agree with me, if you look through your tables, you'll find 2 cards, yellow and red. You might have been wondering what is this for and why has it been there. So we're just going to do a pre-test before I run through what the debate is going to look like. So we're going to have 1 back-to-back debate, where we'll have the lead speaker come to speak for and come to speak against. We will have a vote come directly after that, and then we'll have the argument itself, where we will entertain 3 questions from the audience, which they will debate about, and then we'll have the last 5 minutes for a wrap-up, 1 minute each from the lead and then the support debater, and then we'll have the final vote. So just to make sure that we understand what we are to do and how we are to go about it, if you're supporting the motion that says government should subsidize financing for youth in agriculture, we want you to see these cards, and then if you're saying you would not prefer or you are against the motion that government should subsidize financing for youth in agriculture, we would want you to see this. Do we understand? Or do I have to make a recap? So if I'm for the motion, just run to the next slide. If I'm for this motion, then I should signify by showing the yellow card. But if I'm against this motion, then I should signify by raising the blue card. So after the count of 3, we want to do a pre-test to ensure that we all understand how the voting is going to look like. So 1, 2, 3, go. Please, can we raise them a little bit higher? I would like to request the presence of Dr. Chiji to just help us look and tell who is currently leading. Please still keep it up.
The yes have it.
Okay, thank you very much. So please, can we celebrate Dr. Chiji? He just did our first, in Nigeria we call them Independent National Electoral Commission. So he just played that particular role now of INEC. So at this point, I would like to call on the debater. There are 4 of them, but I would like to start with those who will be going for. First, the lead speaker I would like to welcome on stage, Damat Katso Suketo, popularly called Nono. She's just walking up. Please, can we encourage her as she comes on? Nono has built a 7-year career in corporate environment in the financial service sector. In 2011, Nono developed a deep love and understanding of agriculture when she worked as a managing director of a family commercial farm, that's 2,100 hectares, farming cattle, apples, and grain. Nono is also was selected for the Young Agricultural Entrepreneurship Fellow in Oklahoma State University in the United States. And she's also a MasterCard Scholarship alumnus of the Frankfurt School of Finance. Today, she's a co-founder of the Growth Shoot, which focuses on empowering youth in agriculture through various capacities, such as the African Farmers Association of South Africa, the youth coordinator, and of course sits on the board of Thalbank Holdings and agricultural investment portfolios. She has attended major conferences nationally and internationally, one of which was the Brussels briefing and of course the GCATS and RUFOM forum. So permit me once again with a very good clap as we welcome Nono, who will be speaking for the motion. And to support her closely, I have a very young man. Permit me to say, Nono is from South Africa. I have a young man who will be supporting on stage, Sam Torian Tuga. He is from Uganda, a very young man, and today is the founder and CEO of Tosam Investment Limited, a fruit juice processing company that was started way back in 2013, right there in Kampala, Uganda. He holds a bachelor's degree in food processing technology. He has also done numerous things and currently supports 1,000 farmers who supplies his processing factory with fruits. So welcome once again, Sam Torian Tunga. You're very welcome. And then I run quickly to those who will be against this motion. And then the lead speaker for that section would be Zacchaeus Isua Baji, who is an IITA Youth Agripreneur from Abuja, nationality of Nigeria to be precise. He's currently the coordinator for the cereals and legumes team of the Youth Agripreneurs in Abuja and responsible for the overall production and supervision of all cereals activities. He's the graduate of Crop and Environmental Protection from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. And part of his CV also shows he was the Student Union Governor during his set for that great school. He has attended national and international conferences, and today we'll hear him pitch against that motion. And they say behind every successful man, there is always a woman. So I'd like to also welcome the last support person today, who is by name Awa Kaba. Can we please welcome her as she comes up? Awa Kaba is Senegalese, but she's bilingual, so she will be debating today with English. But if she runs into a little bit of problem, permit her to please go quickly to French, because she has to win against the motion, which she's doing right now. Awa Kaba is the co-founder and CEO of Int'l, a digital startup that enables women in agriculture to have access to market and also to sell their product. She has an engineering background, well schooled in Dakar, Senegal, as you know, and she's also completed studies with certificate in business and entrepreneurship at the University of Iowa, United States, upon the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program that she has gone into. Today, as a student, she took early interest in agriculture and agribusiness, which are key sectors for the development of our country. She has, with her team, created a software solution related to agriculture, livestock, and fisheries in order to help actors in these three sectors to better organize their work. Thus, she won with her team the Image Cup Western Central competition organized during the work, organized by Microsoft. She afterwards was much more involved in agribusiness by connecting with rural supplies, and basically that was what bettered Soratel, in literal meaning it's not so far. But I think during the course of the program, we'll hear more from her, and we'll be able to see her do justice to that. So at this point, they've done much of the talking, and they will do the debate henceforth. Let me just remind, after the first back-to-back training pitch that will come from them, we would entertain 3 questions coming from the audience. But permit me to say, for the first session where they will be having, it will just be for 5 minutes. Of course, I have a timekeeper who would notify them that the time is up, and then I'll have to stop them in case they are not done yet. But if they are done, we'll just proceed with the program. So Waid, please, can you come to a conspicuous place so you can be easily identified? Waid was a debater here some few months back, so he was supporting in coaching and mentoring all of our colleagues who will be pitching via debate tonight. So permit me to welcome for the argument, government should subsidize farming for youth in agriculture. No. Can you please start?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just to confirm what we're talking about, we are for government should subsidize financing for youth in agriculture. What are subsidies? The agricultural subsidies are governmental subsidies paid to farmers and agribusinesses to supplement their income, manage the supply or agricultural commodities, and influence the cost or supply of such commodities. As we all know, currently, Africa has a great potential to be able to lift the majority of its people out of the poverty by boosting agricultural activities and productivity, in order to create employment, feed its people, and indeed feed the world for future generations to come. For this to come into fruition, it's important for us to invest in a large amount of money today in order to encourage youth to get into agriculture and to be supported appropriately to ensure their sustainable participation as well as success in the sector in order to create future food security. However, we all know that agriculture, especially primary agriculture, is riddled with many inherent risks such as climate change, resource scarcity and degradation, price fluctuations, and costs of production that are rising on an annual basis. The solution: because our African countries actually realize the need to develop the agricultural sectors, they have shown their commitment by signing the CAADP agreement that will see countries investing up to 10% of the public finances to be able to go towards agriculture. It is in this portion that we advocate that youth be prioritized in order to ensure that their participation is meaningful and that they are able to actually be successful within the agricultural sector. One of the major lack of agribusinesses, especially young agribusinesses, to succeed and actually have access to finance is the fact that they're not well established in the form of access to markets, access to skills and mentorship, access to finance. And so we advocate that if government works towards structuring good, responsible financial assistance in this environment, then there will be a way for the businesses to succeed. We suggest that government should not be involved in the activities of actually providing these accesses of markets and services. They should identify specific stakeholders who are already active in the space so that the government can focus on the finance, as I'm about to detail, in order to support the program. Ultimately, the government should focus on organizing financing that can be used to, as de-risking measurements and supporting the young agribusinesses in the following ways. One, financial insurance in order for them to be focused on youth agribusinesses and ease the access and focus so that young agripreneurs can actually access this protection for their businesses. Two, securing commodity market prices to create stability and food affordability. Three, subsidizing towards the cost of production in order to prevent monopoly from dominating production. And five, they should actually be providing grants that can be mixed with loans so that you can be able to reduce the cost of finance as well as borrowing. And lastly, we should also look at ways that the government can provide guarantees in order to help and support banks to be able to lend to agripreneurs so that they have a comfortable way of advancing loans to agripreneurs.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I stand strongly to say there is no reason why the government should subsidize financing for agripreneurs. There is no business that succeeds outside a favorable environment. I put it to you that the agripreneurs lack fundamental elements to even embrace these resources. When we are talking about subsidizing finance, this is a form of loan or financial assistance the government will provide. Such goes with a little rate of interest, and at some point, the government will want to take the risk. That risk the government is taking, permit me to announce, is not at their detriment, it's at the detriment of the entire country involved, because we are going to pay back that risk in the form of taxes. Now, I wish to say with a strong point that with some fundamental key points, the youth has the problem of mindset change. The youth still has the problem of lack of knowledge, which has reduced the capacity to work effectively in this agribusiness space. We're also talking about fund management here. We're talking about youths that are willing to take this fund and go and buy vehicles and build houses, and the tenacity to create wealth is not there. But this fund we're talking about should not be given to youths that have no access to fundamental productive resources like land. We're also talking about youths that lack the strength and also the tenacity that agriculture requires for success. I would like to highlight that most of the youth seated here, you can take this mic and pass through. We want to have a white-collar job. In my presentation, I put a red-collar job there because it's a systemic way of tying down potentials. But I wish to say that these youths, we want to limit themselves there because of lack of opportunities and lack of other privileges to excel in other fields. I want to say, without mixing words, that these youth we want to give resources to, they lack the fundamental technical know-how to run a successful agribusiness that we call farming in school. We heard from entrepreneurs that spoke here. Before you call farming school, you have to bring in the element of technology. How many of these youths know what the technology is all about? We shouldn't just gather refugees that are running away from unemployment to go and put them with funds that they cannot manage. I would like to say that the youths involved, there is one thing we must take carefully. You don't buy passion in the market. You don't buy seriousness. You don't inherit it. It is not a gene you get through what they call genetic development. Passion is an attribute of an entrepreneur that is inbuilt. You don't take resources and give people that don't have passion, and we are looking at and want to provide food. We want to what? It's not the way forward. May I say that agriculture as a business is a careful sector that needs people that have heart of a mother, the ability to wait, the ability to work day and night so that you can get profit, so that you can succeed, so that you can expand. How many youths have the patience to wait? How many youths have the patience to keep on going to the field day and night and not wanting to sit down, put on good ties, and be enjoying the conduciveness of AC? I think we must just say the truth that what is really the guarantee? What indices, what was the parameter used to measure the indices that this youth will actually succeed? These are youths that have been given resources time without number and they have not succeeded. What are you telling me that our government should take resources that can be important and give to these young people to go and waste it? Ladies and gentlemen, I stand to strongly reject the motion that says that the government should lavish resources on young agripreneurs. Thank you very much.
I think we're getting gradually into the spirit. So our first task would be now, if we are again for the motion that says government should subsidize, financing for youth in agriculture, we would like you to raise the yellow card, and if you go otherwise, I would like you to raise the red flag. So our time starts now. Can we please raise our cards? Okay. So I would like to call Dr. Chiji once again. Please keep it up, keep it up. Dr. Chiji, I would like you to come forward to announce that, yes. Initially, I saw some cards, but now I'm seeing something different.
I don't know if you voted for the passion. In that case, the noes have it.
Please, can we celebrate Dr. Chiji once again? It's still not over. We have only just begun. So we'd like to entertain 3 questions from the audience, and then that question, they would have to debate 5 minutes per question, so we'll just be able to entertain 3 questions. So the first hand up, I think I see it there. Direct to the point, please, no stories, the question, and then they have the table. Yes, I see your hand as well.
Okay, thanks, Program Director. I just want to ask the team which is against subsidizing. Our Mandela would say a government that does not invest in its youth has no future. And I believe it is in the interest of the government to have food security. So what do they say about that? Because they are pessimistic about government investing in its youth and in its mouth, in its food.
Thank you very much.
I celebrate All right, thank you. I celebrate that question. The government is interested in feeding its population, but in every adventure, there is a right way to do it. You cannot recruit incompetent food producers and give them resources at the expense of the growth of your own economy. I wrote it down. I said, there is no access to quality input. There is no access to infrastructure. There are no bridges. There are no link roads. There are no processing machineries. There are no storage facilities. And you are giving resources to go and for production. How do you intend to even feed this population in the first place? As a government, they should provide these necessary facilities. Then you start talking about food security. If these facilities are not in ground, empowering youth is a waste of resources.
Donc, je vais intervenir en français.
No, not yet time for your question, please. They are still debating the topic.
Okay.
Yes.
I would like to disagree with what you've said, because whether there's bridges or not, people still need to eat today. You can't wait for a bridge to bring you food. You need to eat. So my suggestion is that government has to look at their circumstances at that time and actually try to find ways to put money where it's necessary. So someone who works up the mountain, how do you work with that person to get food up there? That's what you need to invest in. Maybe you don't need helicopters there or whatever, but it's really about understanding your circumstance and finding ways to invest your money correctly to be able to make sure that people get food today.
Yes, you're right. But you know, most of the country here in Africa, they invest a lot in youth. But most of them, 80% of them, just divert this money. Really? I'm an entrepreneur. I participate to many competitions. But most of them, after that, they just go away and take the money, have their house, or like for women, taking dress and nice heel. We don't need that, really. We don't need those kind of youths who don't really believe on them and don't really understand that to develop their country, they need to start. They need to start with their own money, you see.
I think it's the responsibility for the government to put mechanisms on how to identify those youth who have the passion, who really know what they have to do. It's not a matter of getting subsidies and just throw the money out there for anyone to just use it. She mentioned it earlier that the government itself should not be involved in disbanding the subsidies or these finances to the youth. They should involve the private sector, which is not going to put in politics. It gives you maybe a 6% alone. It will monitor you. But the government, with its politicians, they will choose out some people of some colors, and yet others would be left out. So the government should involve the private sector, and they select out those youth who have the potential, and they subsidize their financing. So the issue of saying there shouldn't be subsidy for the youth in agriculture, it's a different story to be discussed another day, not today. Why I'm saying that, I've seen, for example, I'm coming from Uganda. They put a same rate for power consumption. A youth just left university, is on this high rate for electricity, he cannot sustain this business. Now these companies, the big companies, they come and they start, the government give them tax revenue for the whole 5 years. The youth is struggling in agriculture. The government is trying to say the youth should join agriculture, and yet there's no platform for them. So I'm trying to say that the issue for not subsidizing, it should be another day, not today.
All right, thank you very much. May I react to what you are saying? It's like you are even talking against the motion. I appreciate you so much. And you are talking about food production. We are talking about job creation. We are talking about sustainability. We are talking about liberalization of this continent. And I'm talking about infrastructure. You are telling me that we can succeed with that infrastructure. What are you talking about? Cost of production. We are not talking about how can you receive subsidy and you are buying a bag of fertilizer that is more expensive than a bag of cereal? Is that profitability? Now you are saying that subsidies, we should measure passion. What is the machine used in measuring passion? What is the indices? How do you want to measure passion? The young entrepreneur that was seated here said, you should start small. If you have passion for agriculture, you don't need subsidy. You can start small and people can invest in your passion. You don't just come and sit down, get a group of people, mix the ones that are not serious, mix the ones that are serious, and you call agripreneurs and you say they should give them subsidies. To open what kind of organization? I don't understand what you are talking about.
Okay, thank you so very much. We're out of the first 5 minutes. Permit me to just make this disclaimer that all of these people are not necessarily speaking from their heart. It's a debate topic they are asked to do. So please do not see them after this debate and then question their integrity for agriculture. So we'd like to take the next question down. I'd like to be a little bit gender. I see so many masculine hands, but I'll pick the only female at the moment and then I'll come to the last male. Oh, I have 2 females. So who goes first? Yes. Mary?
So I'm hearing a lot of, I think, assumptions being thrown out. So I want to get to the data. I want to know what data is showing that there are more youth who will throw away money, more youth that are depending only on passion and not any agricultural knowledge than there would be older people who wouldn't be able to use these subsidies well.
Thank you.
All right, I'll react first. I want to use a living, somebody standing next to me here. She was part of she received subsidy, am I correct? And there were a total of 100. While we were talking, she told me that only 20% of that 100 were able to do something. Not that they succeeded, they did something. So 80% failed. Now, what was her reasons? She said, when they received this subsidy, there was no follow-up. There was no technical abilities. The measure of ability to succeed in that terrain was not ascertained. The facilities to succeed in that agribusiness space was not provided. Why should we sit down here and keep shouting that the government should bring subsidy when these youth are not equipped?
So I would like to add a little bit of my experience as well in that sphere. So with regards to statistics, right now we are in the process of building these things that I'm talking. So for me, it's a personal experience. If you come to South Africa, you know that South Africa has a really good agricultural system, very good. But unfortunately, so many of us are left outside of that system, especially those that are youth that are trying to get in. And now government has access to money, and they have dedicated, as I said, there's CADEPs, there's various ways that there's money that is earmarked to assist agriculture. The only thing which I have been specific in my statement is that government needs to be responsible on how they do it. And they cannot do it on their own. They need to participate with stakeholders that are already in the game. So private partnership arrangements are very important to be able to finance specifically. So it's not about giving people money in their pockets. No, it's about finding the barriers and the levers, places where the money should be channeled. So it has to be very specific. It can't just be money in pockets.
I can tell you also my own experience. It was the same. The government doesn't give us directly the money. They work with stakeholders, but no follow-up. So all those startups that received their money, they didn't really succeed. And I don't think why we should give subsidy to youth who don't really do something in their country.
You're going back to the issue that we're trying to raise, which is the responsibility of providing that access. So government can't just give and sit back. They have to give and follow up. So you are giving us the reasons and almost like the solutions on how to actually subsidize.
No.
So it's not
No.
just about sitting back.
No.
And that is exactly how I've actually added in. I said, you've got to be responsible about giving money, and we need to advocate that you give money, but responsibly. And that you've just proven my point.
Even if you give your responsibility, youth are not really responsible to follow up. And yes, even if you give this responsibility, because I live this situation. So that's why I'm standing here and I told you that it's not possible.
So that means you were not responsible?
No.
So you took money and were not responsible?
No.
I think it's very cool. You don't say she's not responsible. It's because she has seen the indices that define responsibility. That is why she's standing here to tell them the truth. The very straight truth is, if your government in South Africa, you said South Africa has a very good agricultural system, then why is Africa still hungry? If your system is already good, I don't see why we should stand here and we're talking about food insecurity in Africa. The deficiency we have identified, you have brought the solution by supporting us. The government should not give resources to agripreneurs. They should sponsor innovations. And that is what you are saying. We are not saying they should collect everybody and call them agripreneurs and start dispensing cash. Do you understand what I'm saying? So innovation can only thrive in challenges. Permit me to say that. If you are giving subsidized financing, the potential in that youth is hampered with. Because these youth cannot bring forth productive ideas. They cannot, because they will just relax. The government is giving subsidy. Technologies will not be thought of by this youth. How to counter challenges, how to cut costs will not be there. We'll just be spoon-fed, and we are expecting reduction in costs. We are expecting profitability. We are expecting independence, and we are expecting food sustainability and security. It will not work. It will not work. I advise the government. There is one thing you must know. If we are not morally sound, we cannot handle finances. The youth must be morally sound. The ones they are recruiting into Boko Haram, all the guys, terrorists, they are people who are not morally sound. I'm telling you, they are well paid. Any youth that see money anywhere will run. Do you get what I'm saying? So the straight truth is, the youth should be properly mobilized in such a way that their mindset must be changed. And this mindset is not willing to be changed. In this ground, the subsidies should not be given. Thank you very much.
Sam, final word?
I personally believe that there has to be mind change in the youth. Most youth are able to do greater things, and they are transformers of our society. Even for the future, the whole world will be depending on them. We have fresh minds, the youth. We are the ones who have, most of them have gone to universities. They know how to develop ICT applications. They know how to do everything. With all those fresh minds they have, without the government subsidizing for them the finances, they will remain with them in the head. They're going to spend 4 years at the university. They're able to do something. They will spend millions of years on something trying to bring it up, but without government intervention. The government spending money in buying guns, buying those things, then there will be nothing. Either agriculture, the government has to spend has spent some of its money in the youth so that agriculture can be transformed. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So take the very final question. Okay, I have somebody from the VIP role, so you would understand if I do not go to the back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have definitely done a better job than the current group of parliamentarians I've seen. I congratulate you for that. The problem, of course, with this debate, it is, unfortunately, it's flawed, because it is a statement of fact that you can't encourage youth at the same time deny them the resources. How will they do it? Financing is sine qua non to successful agricultural practice. So you need the money. However, the circumstances under which that money is dispensed must be looked at very carefully and therefore be able to make sure it delivers the desired results.
Okay, so sir, if I would interject you, if you permit me, could you just drive out a question because we need them to debate an extra 5 minutes.
I just want to contribute a statement from one of the thinkers in Nigeria when you are in the civil war, when he said, you can't cure a headache by cutting off the head. And so, to deny financial resources is a non-starter. What do you comment about that?
Thank you very much, sir.
I will just react to that, really. If we are not advocating that the government should not invest in the youth, but I am saying that the agribusiness space is not a viable environment for an unserious set of people. Okay, we have other sectors in the economy where the government can subsidize and engage youths to be actively productive, because these youths want to put on tie, they want to sit down under the AC, they want to drive flashy cars, they just want to be at the peak of their game. The government can help them by subsidizing them in the telecommunication, technology of transportation, in banking sector, where they can be actively involved. But once it comes to food production, job creation, they have the success already existing. These people should be given this fund to expand. They will succeed. If they expand, meet the needs for Africa's food. Are you offering this thing? And they will also they will mitigate this menace of hunger. But bringing unserious people to this terrain is sending people on a suicide mission. Thank you.
I definitely disagree. We are in Africa, where we all know that the availability of arable land that needs to be farmed for food is plentiful. And the reason why agriculture is in the position it is right now on the continent is because of the opportunity that it presents to our people. But it's not about today, it's about the future. The only people who are going to be here in the future are the youth of today. So if you don't invest in agribusinesses today to make sure that the agricultural industry in this continent is developed today, there will be no future for this continent.
Thank you. I think I'll just buy a little bit of time and have one more question. And I think I had lots of hands coming. Whoa, now I have additional hands. So how do we do the ballot? So I think I had 2 questions from this side, so I'm going to have 1 question from, oh, you're already standing up, so I would give you that privilege. The final question. Please, straight to the point.
I had a question for the yellow team. In fact, I didn't understand what the problem subsidy will solve. And I asked, who gave subsidy to Nollywood? Who gave subsidy to the music industry? Who gave subsidy to the political sector? Those are the places that the youth want to be involved in. So let's copy what works there and then bring it into agriculture than to subsidize. Thank you.
Okay, I like that question. But right now, you mentioned Hollywood, you have mentioned of the music industry, you mentioned of those sectors. Right now, we are looking at the rate of unemployment in Africa, the existing arable land, the land that is not being used. And now when you mention of such sectors of music and what, that's a different story. We are saying there are a lot of means that you can use subsidy financing for the youth. There's agricultural financing. For example, in our country, you find if the youth is in agriculture, if he gets any problem, for example, disaster due to rains, maybe drought, for you to get insurance, it is not there. You have to suffer with your losses as a youth. And we are talking about such platforms, such subsidies, for example, in agricultural insurance. So when the government focuses its energy in those sectors of music and what, because those people have thrived. You see, everyone here has a smartphone, you can go download music, download it. But for agriculture, everyone here has to eat. So even if those sectors, the government doesn't put in much money, but all the money goes to subsidizing and financing for the youth, then the youth are able to have their businesses thrive.
John, I want to just say to support our supporter here. And the truth is you cannot take away the element of passion, the element of tenacity and resilience in any business. He has mentioned sectors that have succeeded without subsidies. The agri sector has refused to succeed because of what? Shortage of passion, resilience, and also the willingness to succeed in the terrain. You get what I'm saying? Now, this youth, we are not saying that youth should not succeed. I'm a youth, isn't it? So we are going to succeed. But we want the government to do the right thing. We shouldn't be exposed to our early graves. We are youths. We are supposed to succeed and prosper this continent, okay? Now, there is no way that a youth who has no basic ideas. Do you know how risky it is to go into poultry production and you don't know how to identify bird flu? It means that you are also at the risk of your life there. And also when you acquire this virus, you will spread it to the public and you kill people. So, you know, technology needs to be there. Knowledge needs to be there. Capacity needs to be there. And the willingness to drive these indices in this agri-space, it needs to be there before you are talking about financing and what are you saying?
And the interesting thing about it is you keep driving my point, is that financing organizes all of that. There can be no technology without financing. There can be no opportunity to go study without financing. So we advocate strongly that the importance of financing in agriculture specifically has to be more, it almost has to be more focused, because if you think about the developed worlds of this country, the one thing they have on the top of their list is people are not hungry. That's your number one. If you can't satisfy that in your people, then your nation is going nowhere. So let's get back to the point that we were given. Yes, it's easy for youth to go to these other industries. Nobody needs to tell you. No one comes and wakes you up and tells you, are you going to be a musician today? You tell everybody what you want to do. But we have a crisis on this continent. And we need to make our youth aware of the crisis. It's not about happy times anymore. We won't have food if we don't make our youth aware. And that's what it's so important to channel investment into agriculture.
I'm not arguing with you. No, Darrell, she needs to learn this. I'm not arguing with you that we don't. There is food shortage in the continent. I'm not telling you that we are not hungry in the continent. But I really want to tell you that we need to get our youth involved in the running of the economy of the country. It's not about food production. We're also talking about job creation here. We are talking about the security of the continent. So I celebrate your idea of telling me that every day you wake up and say he wants to go into music, he wants to go. That is you can see you are saying it yourself. We know that is what the youth want. There is a set of people in the continent that can run this space of business. They are not the youth. She has said it with her mouth. The people that can run it, they are the adults, the ones that have seen this thing and they have the passion to do it. From what you are saying, you are also saying your younger ones will grow and tell you they want to go to music. That is the passion of the average youth. And you want to carry national resources and give to these people to go and be running music? Another thing where we are hungry? No, that will not work. These resources must be channeled to productive places. And who told you that Africa cannot feed Africa when we are still doing music and Nollywood?
Thank you very much. Please, can we celebrate debaters at this point? So just before we make our final voting, we'd just like to say they have 1 minute each just to give their final statement on the motion which they are supporting as regards government should subsidize financing for youth in agriculture. So I would like to start first from the against, and then we'll go for the motion.
Yes, it's 1 minute I'll use. I want to cap up by saying that there is no need celebrating the poverty of Africa by sharing it across border through increased tax and also discharging this sleepless night to every family. Because if resources that are meant to develop the country is given to a unserious set of people, it will come back to me and you in form of increased tax. So I stand against the motion that no subsidy should be given to agripreneurs. Thank you very much.
To all my sisters and brothers who are here and who really want to be an entrepreneur or who are already entrepreneur, don't expect funding from the government. Change your mindset and start your own business with the little money that you have. That's my own and final speech that I want to give you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dream is to feed the world. But we're first going to start with Africa. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is with our governments. It's our money, and we must dictate how it works. And we, as the youth, have decided that we must be subsidized to be able to farm our lands and increase our agribusinesses to feed our continent.
In conclusion, the youth are the future of the world's agriculture and agri-food sector. The youth have fresh ideas and approaches which will help build a strong, innovative sector, ready to meet the changing needs of the society and of tomorrow, which is the reason why their input in agriculture should be subsidized financially by their respective governments. I stand by saying the government still needs to subsidize financing for the youth in order for them to thrive and feed the nation.
Thank you very much. Can we give them a better round of applause, please? Can we give them a better round of applause? I see some people already flinging their cards. Not yet time. I would have to create that time. So please, can you hold your cards? After all that has been, no, don't raise it up yet. Not just now. After all that has been said and done. Now, the idea behind this voting is take away all personal ideologies and let your voting be based on what you have heard. How well have they convinced you this afternoon? So after the count of 3, we'd like to see the voting. 1, 2, 3. So I would like to request the presence of Dr. Chiji Finance to please come up. He will be telling us where we fall.
I think the views are swinging from yellow to red and to yellow again.
Thank you very much. So please, can we celebrate ourselves once again? And once again, let me thank the speakers, the debaters for this afternoon. We'd like to thank Nono Cote, I think I'm right, from South Africa. We'd like to say thank you to you. We'd like to say thank you to you, Sam Turentunga from Uganda. We'd like to say thank you to you, Zacchaeus Isuabaji from Nigeria. And then we'd like to say thank you to you, Awa Kaba from Senegal. So please, can we celebrate them as they come down stage? So as I wrap up this session and hand over back to Madam Abimbola, I'd like to say of a truth that all that they have said is indeed necessary. We need passion, we need the zeal, we need tenacity, we need the capacity. But more importantly, we need the support as well to get agribusiness to the stage and to the phase where we want it to be in the lives of youth. So once again, we say thank you for coming to IAF 2017, the maiden edition. We hope we'll be able to inspire even as we proceed. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day ahead.
A big round of applause. Oludare, thank you very much, and all the debaters. And thank you for such an engaging audience. We have a few announcements, and then we'll go out for lunch. Lunch is in the main building, and on your way there, you'd see the exhibition stand. But prior to that, I'm sure you're all aware that we had 2 days of pre-forum activities